guys, Ian from Mid-America Prep. Thanks for tuning in and watching to another video on the trailer restoration project. So far I've got several things done since the last video. I do have the decking cut and prepared for final sanding and installation. The frame on the inside is ready to go. I am now doing the suspension. I got the right suspension repaired yesterday. The bolts were wearing out. They were solid, stiff, nasty looking things, worn out. I can show you those in a second, the old versus new. The suspension has been cleaned up, painted, made to look good going down the road. Obviously I still have old tires on it. They're going to take a little bit to get cleaned up and everything, but that's fine. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to do a time-lapse video of repairing the left side suspension, and then we will do some more cleaning up of the inside frame so I can prime it and get it ready for the walls. Now the thing is that the metal has been rusted for a long time. I'm just going to prime it, and I want to be laying like silicone beads all throughout the inside and down the beams here, the columns, so that when I put the wood up there, it is sealed between, and then I can spray the final topside paint, gel coat paint on it, so I can make sure it's waterproof on the inside and it's not leaking down and getting the contents of the inside wet. And I know in the first couple of videos I said it wasn't going to be 100% waterproof, and it's probably not going to be 100% waterproof, but it's going to be much more waterproof than it was previously. So, and it was pretty dry inside even after seeing some downpours. So I'm not worried about it. I just wanted to get the metal prepped, primed, and looking good so I could actually do some stuff further on. So I'll go ahead and we'll set the camera up down in suspension, and I'll show you what we're going to be doing there to repair it. Well, before we get to there, I wanted to show you the hardware that had been sitting here probably from the original manufacturer of this trailer. It wasn't horrible, but it was definitely in need of repair and replacement. And this is it right here. I don't know if you can see these little rings here, but that is where the mounting brackets were laying on, and then you have an outer ring here, and right here, this is where it's supposed to have some spines, splines, whatever we call them. This is just sitting in here moving. It wasn't solid, and with that being not solid, it was just wearing it out, and it kind of wallowed out the mounting brackets. Compared to a new bolt, looks much better. It has the spines, splines, whatever you call them, like I said, over here, and you have the bushing that goes through the spring, non-existent. And they were there, I guess you'd say, but they were so paper thin they couldn't really serve as a bushing because it was just rubbing on metal anyways. So big difference. Take the time. If you have a trailer that's old, you didn't manufacture it, replace your hardware, clean it up, make it look good, because in the end you'll probably be thankful that it doesn't break down the road. Alright, so as you saw there, I had to cut this nut off. And the big reason was because the splines had been worn out on this side, and the back side where the tire is, I don't have enough room to get a breakover bar or any other kind of wrench in there. And so I just had to cut the nut off, and I'm going to tap them out. I have this on a 3-point system, so I have the jack in the front and then 2 boards on the back. This trailer is so light that I can just put it on the boards. I have them anchored fairly well, and I can tilt one side or the other depending on which I want to use. Right now I have it on 3 points, so the entire trailer is off the ground, except for, I mean, you can see I'm spinning the tire. I have it just on the ground enough so I can have some tension on the ground and some off the frame, and I can just leave the leaf springs. So I'm going to take this old bolt here. This is from an old U-bolt. And tap that old bolt out of there. Lift up on the leaf spring, pull it out, and it is on the ground now. The wheel and the axle is on the ground. You can see there's a lot of play there. So I'll just do it the other 2 just like that. And as you can see, those splines are holding up very well on that plate. The plate did not come off. I'll have to tap those out because, if you can see here, once again, extremely worn out on the top. It's because there's no bushing in that top bracket. I mean, they're not supposed to, actually, but these bolts are just, they're old enough and worn out enough that I didn't want them. There's a lot of play in them. Except, the good thing here, on the other side, the plates were wallered out because them splines were bad. These are good. So we'll go ahead and reuse these plates. They're cheap enough you can reuse, or you can buy new. They're like, you know, $10 a set, but I had 2 sets and I already spent a few dollars on it, so these are good still. I'll go ahead and reuse them. Well guys, the next shot of this was me. I was gonna go ahead and try to loosen up these U-bolts. Obviously that's not going to happen for a few things. On the other U-bolts, I just took the grinder with a cutoff disc and chopped the bolts. Under extreme tension, those bolts fly down on the ground. Make sure there's nothing around it that can hurt you. Make sure you have a barrier between you and the bolts, because they fly with such force, because this is holding a lot of pressure. Well, I got one side of this U-bolt loose, the other side was stuck. I had about 1/8 of a turn, maybe 3 inches within it on my breaker bar, and it sheared straight off. So, this is why it's important to replace hardware, especially old rusted hardware like this. This could have been a nasty on the road. Extremely important. after a quick debate with myself, quick run to the store, I went ahead and got the plates. The shackle links here, I guess you call them. There are 4 in a pack, so I'll go ahead and replace all 4. I just repainted the other ones to make them look nice, but I'll go ahead and replace them. They're easy enough. I haven't tightened them down yet, so all right. Alright guys, so a couple hours later I've got everything back together. Everything is ready to go on both sides except for the U-bolts, which are needed to be torqued down to 100 foot-pounds of torque. The only problem is that I have a 1/2 inch torque wrench and not a 3/8, and I don't have the size. I think it's 7/8 for the bolts or the nuts down here for the 1/2 inch, but a 3/8 wrench. And so I'll either have to go get some new sockets or maybe another torque wrench. But both sides are good to go. The inside frame is primed and ready to go for the decking, which I'm excited for. It should be, pretty much ready to go pretty quick. Everything that was rusty and nasty before has been cleaned up, including the axle and the leaf springs. Black Krylon paint here, and then the axle is itself painted with bed liner, just to kind of give it some more durability. Now the one thing on this whole trailer which I had to figure out why it was wrong all the time, this bracket right here and this bracket right here, the mounting brackets, do not line up. This bracket is about a 1/2 inch behind this bracket on the right. So it's not a bad thing. As you can see, that is, my camera's squared up there. This is straight up and down. Square this camera up, it kind of leans back. It kind of adds a small diagonal. Not a big deal, doesn't hurt the ride at all because the springs will take that tension out. Now, the big thing here is that my tires are not the same. I did not realize this was the issue until then, until I got this all torn down. But if you can see here, I can get about 2.5, 3 fingers between the frame and this tire here. Between here, it's the same as it is over here. But the tire is different over here, as I can only get about 1.5 to 1.25 fingers between the tire and the frame. So now I'm on the search for 2 new trailer tires that are black, because I like the gray or whatever color on black. And these are old Ford or Mopar tires, and the offset is different on each tire. Another example, there's the outside, you can't see the hub. There's the outside, you can see the hub. It's just because the offset of the tire inside the rim, the size is not the same. 14-inch tires, but they're not the same offsets and everything, so that's not a big deal. Kind of sucks, but easy fix, I'm sure. 80 bucks a rim and tire, I can find them somewhere, I'm sure. Anyways, I'm still missing a spot. Keep calm and carry on, guys. Stay safe.